Chapter 81 The Handsome Guy at Konoha Hospital. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The Hidden Leaf Village, Land of Fire, perfect weather today, the morning sun, warm but not blinding, bathed the houses in a golden light. Sakura hopped out of bed and headed for the door. She was about to slip on her ninja shoes when her mom, quick as a whip, intercepted her and handed her a bottle of warm milk, saying the same old thing. Sakura, you're still growing. Remember to drink your milk in the morning. And lay off the junk food. It's not good for you. Yeah, I know. Sakura took the milk with a sigh. Seeing that her mom was gearing up for a lecture, she quickly put on her shoes, yelled, "Gotta go practice," and zoomed out the door. That girl, her mom muttered, shaking her head as she closed the door. The streets of Konoha were already bustling. Weaving through the crowd, Sakura couldn't help but think about how her parents were always on her case. No eating this, no drinking that. She sighed, daydreaming. Wouldn't it be awesome to not have my parents breathing down my neck, to just do whatever I want and eat whatever I want? Though, Naruto and Sasuke probably wouldn't see it that way. Sakura suddenly stopped, staring at a house in the distance. Sasuke used to live there. She thought about the night he left. So determined, Sakura took a deep breath, clenched her fists, and pumped herself up. Come on, Sakura. To bring Sasuke back from Hagoromo Genzuki, you gotta train harder than ever. First step, nail the medical mission the Hokage gave me and actually become her apprentice. That with renewed determination, Sakura glanced at Sasuke's old place one last time, picked up the pace, and headed toward Konoha Hospital. As Konoha's only major hospital, it had the largest staff of medical ninjas, with Tsunade back at the helm, further refining the medical system. And the village pouring in more funding. Konoha Hospital represented the pinnacle of medical ninjutsu. People came from all over the world, traveling miles for treatment. When Sakura arrived, the outpatient hall was packed with patients. Medical ninjas and nurses in white coats bustled around, starting their day of consultations. Sakura wore a white coat, but she wasn't qualified to treat patients yet. All she could do for now was wrestle with test tubes in the lab, trying to get a handle on medical ninjutsu ASAP. Hey! Sakura! Sakura was about to get started when a fair arm snaked around her neck, and a familiar voice chirped in her ear. She knew who it was without looking. Ino, you're here bright and early. I have to be. You're putting the pressure on. Yamanaka Ino, her blonde ponytail bouncing, grinned. When Ino heard Sakura was learning medical ninjutsu, her best friend, and longtime rival, decided to jump in too. But compared to Sakura, who had a natural talent for precise chakra control, Ino struggled. Sakura was pulling ahead, and Ino was feeling it, but her competitive spirit was still strong. Especially since something awesome happened to her in the last couple days. Sakura! Sakura! Ino glanced around, then tugged on Sakura's sleeve, motioning her closer. What is it? Sakura asked, confused. I found a total hottie at the hospital. Ino whispered excitedly, like it was top secret information. Sakura rolled her eyes. She thought Ino had discovered something important, but nope. Typical Ino. Unlike Sakura, who was hopelessly devoted to Sasuke, Ino had always had a thing for cute guys. Even though Sasuke had been snatched by this Hagoromo Genzuki creep, Sakura hadn't wavered. Keep your hottie to yourself. I gotta practice. Sakura tried to shake off Ino. Ino grabbed her arm. Come on, you gotta see him. He's not just good looking, he's got this thing about him. Plus, get this. He's a famous doctor, a medical ninjutsu whiz. Sakura, aren't you having trouble with some medical stuff? Hearing about the hottie's medical skills piqued Sakura's interest, but she was still hesitant. Wouldn't we be bothering him? Don't worry, he's super nice, Ino promised. Thumping her chest, Ino's reassurance pushed Sakura over the edge. She went with Ino to meet this supposed medical genius. Dr. Sosuke. They found him in a hospital hallway, and Ino waved enthusiastically. Sosuke turned around. Sakura finally saw the guy Ino was so obsessed with. Okay, he was cute, but she felt a weird sense of familiarity. Sakura blinked and looked again. The feeling was gone. Weird. Sakura shrugged it off as Ino dragged her forward. She probably imagined it, Doctor. Sosuke nodded at Ino, who seemed to know him well after only a few encounters, then turned his attention to Sakura. Is she just sharp? Or am I a bad actor? Doctor. Sosuke thought, noticing the change in Sakura's expression. Of course, Doctor. Sosuke wasn't a real doctor. It was Yuyi Gengetsu himself, using transformation jutsu to impersonate him. After dealing with the Takumi village, he'd come to Konoha. Curious, he'd kept a low profile, replacing a hidden Yui clan operative, a medical ninja at Konoha Hospital. He'd spent his time reading medical ninjutsu books in the hospital, learning a lot and showing some talent, which had raised his profile and given him access to more medical secrets. Did this increase his risk of exposure? Yuyi Gengetsu never planned to maintain the disguise forever. He wasn't a professional spy and had no experience in that field. Disguise was tricky and required expertise. Even if he nailed the appearance, it was harder to change the details. Like just now, Sakura, who'd met him once, had sensed something off. Yuyi Gengetsu didn't care. He couldn't hide forever, but long enough. Chapter 82 Chakra Precision Control Talent. You are listening at novelfull.audio. According to Sosuke's persona, Yuyi Xuanyue greeted Ino and Sakura with a gentle smile. He never expected to have anything to do with Ino, but, hey, she was from the Yamanaka clan. And true to their clan's motto of positive love and feelings, Ino eagerly approached him after they met. Girls that age often base their choices on looks, right? Like how everyone in the Uchiha clan is a looker, the Yui clan has its fair share of attractive people too, like Yuyi Xuanyue himself, Samui, Ali, and now Sosuke. Plus, Yuyi Xuanyue had his own unique charm. He'd gotten plenty of not-so-subtle come-ons from female colleagues, patients, and their family members, but he turned them all down. Seriously. Who needs women when you've got the sweet, sweet joy of self-improvement? Dr. Sosuke, this is Sakura, Hokage-sama's apprentice, Ino said, throwing an arm around Sakura's shoulders like they were besties. It was weird seeing the usually driven Yuyi Xuanyue playing the nice guy role for someone else. Hearing Ino, he used all the acting skills he'd honed during that summer job and looked at Sakura, feigning surprise. Hokage-sama's apprentice? Wow, impressive. Sakura blushed, waving her hands. Not yet. I'm nowhere near Tsunade-sama's level. That's why you should ask Dr. Sosuke for help, Sakura, Ino said, patting Sakura on the shoulder. Is that okay? Sakura asked, a little nervous. Tsunade-sama had given her some basic medical knowledge and some textbooks, but she was always busy being Hokage. Sakura was mostly on her own when she ran into problems. The senior staff at Konoha Hospital occasionally helped when they had time, but nothing beats Tsunade-sama's insights. It would be awesome to have someone as good as Tsunade-sama, or even just close, who could teach her. Remembering what Ino said, Sakura looked at Sosuke expectantly. Still stuck on the half-dead fish thing, huh? Yuyi Xuanyue asked with a smile. Sakura nodded quickly. That's normal. Fish are a classic starting point for medical training, Yuyi Xuanyue said. They were his first subjects after he'd mastered medical ninjutsu. But everyone's different, Yuyi Xuanyue continued. You knock the fish half dead, then heal it completely without damaging its nerves or flesh. Once you can do that, you can call yourself a medical ninja. There are a few things beginners should keep in mind. Yuyi Xuanyue, who'd systematically studied the most common medical ninjutsu at Konoha Hospital and had improved rapidly, found teaching pretty easy. Sakura and Ino's eyes lit up as they hung on his every word. After that, they bumped into some colleagues and patients who greeted Sosuke warmly, proving he was a big deal at Konoha Medical. Yuyi Xuanyue took Sakura and Ino to the lab and actually started teaching. Ding. Side quest, Childhood Sweetheart, completed. Thanks to the host's pursuit, Yamanaka Ino's affection for the host has greatly increased. Congratulations on having a childhood sweetheart. Task reward, Radiant Art. That's it. Ignoring the system's vigorous pursuit nonsense, Yuyi Xuanyue watched Ino struggling with the half-dead fish. They'd barely met 3 times, and he'd never made the first move, but apparently the mission was complete. Guess she really did like handsome guys. Attraction can come on fast and strong, just like how Ino was nowhere near as heartbroken as Sakura when Sasuke left. At that age, not everyone's obsessed like Sakura. Yuyi Xuanyue shook his head, not dwelling on it. First, he checked out the radiant art reward. It was basically a souped-up cleaning jutsu, keeping you looking your best, a godsend for someone who didn't want to waste time on grooming. Then, Yuyi Xuanyue glanced at another side quest that had just popped up in the system. Side quest, Battle of Academic Masters. Quest description: after defeating Uchiha Sasuke, the host is invincible at the Ninja Academy, in combat. But in written tests, Sakura reigns supreme. Please beat Sakura on a written test and achieve true mastery of both mind and body. Quest reward, Chakra Precision Control Talent, Sakura version. The quest had shown up not long after Ino brought Sakura by. Sakura's chakra control was well documented. Yuyi Xuanyue was already good at it, but he wouldn't say no to more. Talent was talent, 4 things you couldn't change or learn. Yuyi Xuanyue was interested, otherwise, he wouldn't be teaching these two in person. Ahem. Yuyi Xuanyue coughed, interrupting Sakura and Ino's practice. To their confusion, he pulled out 2 papers. To better understand your medical foundation, let's have a pop quiz. Sakura and Ino were okay with that, then they noticed Yuyi Xuanyue writing a test too. Sakura was puzzled. Dr. Sosuke, why are you taking the test? Just reviewing the fundamentals, Yuyi Xuanyue said seriously. So, to Sakura's amazement, Yuyi Xuanyue aced the test, which was far beyond her skill level, easily beating her. Ding. Side quest, Battle of Top Students, completed. After studying very hard, the host beat top student Sakura in a written test, achieving the top spot in both martial arts and academics at the Ninja Academy. Quest reward, Chakra Precision Control Talent, Sakura version. Hagoromo Xuanyue closed his eyes, feeling his chakra control get even better, and nodded slightly. This time, the system's reward had actually helped. Nice. Chapter 83 A-Level Research Laboratory. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Having mastered the system release after doing it multiple times, Hagoromo Gengetsu understood the system inside and out. Like now, the system wanted him to give Sakura a written test. So, just to mess with her, he pulled out a ridiculously hard exam meant only for him. And the result? The system actually bought it and said he won. Seriously? There was a test, Sakura was there, and she took it. The specifics? Who cares? Somehow, the system babbled on about hard-fought battles, relentless pursuit, and burning the midnight oil. Of course, he could ace a test with a ridiculous difficulty gap. It's all about the show. The ceremony is what counts. Sakura, keep it up. You've got a bright future in both medical ninjutsu and genjutsu. Ino, your family secrets are your strength. After messing around with system tasks involving the girls, and knowing their future without having to lie to them, Hagoromo Gengetsu left the lab and headed to the clinic to start his day of consultations. He couldn't just learn medical ninjutsu on his own. He needed plenty of experimental subjects. Konoha Medical was a great place to find patients for that. Plus, Hagoromo Gengetsu was discovering that the deeper he delved into medical ninjutsu, the better he understood yang-style chakra. That was great news. For ages, he'd focused on fire, earth, wind, water, and thunder among the 7 chakra natures. He'd explored yin and yang, but not as deeply. But since being resurrected, Hagoromo Gengetsu had made solid progress with yin and yang. Still, it wasn't enough. Naturally, Hagoromo Gengetsu wasn't going to waste this chance to supercharge his yang-style chakra research through medical ninjutsu. That's why he was the first one to Konoha Hospital and the last to leave. The other doctors got a real education in the art of hustling. After treating a Konoha ninja who'd come back from a mission with a hole in his calf, Hagoromo Gengetsu turned and saw Miyata Kika, the head of the hospital's research department, walking over. She said, "Dr. Ayasuk, your request for the A-level research lab is approved. You've got 7 days to do your research in there. But be careful with the equipment. Seriously, every single piece in there belongs to both of us, and I can't afford to replace any of it." 7 days. Hagoromo Xuanyue nodded. Got it. Thanks for the heads up, Captain Miyata. Don't mention it. Talented people deserve better resources and training, Miyata Huaxiang replied. that was why Hagoromo Xianyue hadn't been hiding his abilities since he got here. If he didn't stand out, how could he expect the higher-ups to notice him and give him more resources? Like an A-level research lab, labs like that were perfect for studying ninjutsu and chakra, medical ninjutsu included. Normal medical ninjas never got a shot at them. Hagoromo Gengetsu got his chance because he'd been putting out some new theories in the medical field. Dr. Sosuke, keep up the great work. It won't be long before the Hokage hears about you. You're young and have a ton of talent. Like Shizune, you could become the Hokage's next direct disciple. Miyata Huaxiang was clearly a fan and gave him a serious pep talk before leaving. Hagoromo Xianyue put on a grateful face. Watching Miyata Huaxiang walk away, he chuckled to himself. Tsunade's disciple. That's a funny thought. I wonder how Tsunade would react if she knew the truth. Wait, no. If she found out, it'd be like I lost and she won big time. Hagoromo Gengetsu, the legend, being Tsunade's disciple. That'd be pretty embarrassing. Of course, Hagoromo Gengetsu wasn't about to become Tsunade's disciple. He didn't have time for that. 7 days should be enough. And if not, I can always sneak in. Yuyi Xuanyue touched his chest. He'd completely mastered Senjutsu chakra extraction during his time in Konoha. The research lab request was really about using the high-tech equipment to unlock the secrets of Senjutsu chakra. He wasn't some old-fashioned stickler who'd rather stick to tradition than use more efficient methods. Efficiency was everything. If he could use this chance to get a leg up, that'd be awesome. Senju Hashirama, standing on the giant Buddha in sage mode, was still unforgettable. That afternoon, Hagoromo Gengetsu followed the directions and arrived at Konoha Hospital's research building. Besides the Root's secret lab and a few top-secret projects, most of Konoha's research happened here, so security was tight. Hagoromo Xianyue had to get through 3 checkpoints, thanks to his mastery of facial expressions, a secret technique that was basically a perfect transformation. Hagoromo Xianyue arrived at the A-level lab he was borrowing without any trouble. He watched the ninja in charge make hand seals and unlock the door. He didn't go inside right away. Instead, he looked the Konoha ninja in the eye, and as his pupils shifted like he was weaving hand seals, he said politely, "Thanks for your help." The Konoha ninja didn't notice anything. He just waved Yuyi Xuanyue inside. Yuyi Xuanyue nodded and stepped in. Thanks to the pupil seal technique Ali taught him, after meeting the requirements, looking at the Konoha ninja up close, and secretly planting the information in his mind, everything here was now open to him. Secrets were no longer secret. Alright, time to get down to business. The research room door closed, and Yuyi Xuanyue looked at the various high-tech instruments inside, biology, cultivation, scanning, analytical computing, and smiled. The technology in the ninja world was seriously wild. Most civilians still lived in feudal times, but in here, the technology wasn't just as good as his previous life, it was better, especially in biology. That was the foundation of the biggest village in the ninja world. The Yui clan could never afford a lab like this. Even if they could, there was no way they could get their hands on this kind of equipment. Konoha had its own scientific department. Ninjas weren't dumb. They weren't about to hand out important research tools. Technology was power. That was another reason Yuyi Xuanyue came to Konoha. Without wasting any more time, Yuyi Xuanyue took off his shirt and prepared to say, "First step, extract the perfect Senjutsu chakra." Thanks to here, and for the 100 rewards, thanks to book friend 202311011613060024 for the 233 rewards. Chapter 84 completely solved the physical problems. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Because of the forbidden eternal sleep technique, the Senjutsu chakra left by Hashirama Senju had been festering in his body for over 50 years, like a gangrenous infection clinging to bone. Regular medical ninjutsu just couldn't cut it. Luckily, Hagoromo Gengetsu was a medical ninjutsu prodigy, and he developed a new technique specifically for this. Magic extraction. Gengetsu pressed his right hand to his chest, and green, bubble-like chakra instantly surged forth, reflecting deep within his chest, visible to the naked eye. Strands of Senjutsu chakra were being pulled from his flesh, bones, and even cells without causing any damage. These strands were then enveloped in green chakra bubbles, sealed off completely. the magic extraction technique was Gengetsu's invention, based on senjutsu extraction principles, combined with other medical ninjutsu and his own unique physiology. It was specifically designed to extract and store foreign senjutsu chakra from his body. This technique represented the pinnacle of his medical achievements, drawing inspiration from both Shinnon and Konoha. Everything went according to plan. Gengetsu felt the senjutsu chakra within him steadily diminishing. Finally, he looked at the small cluster of green chakra bubbles. They were constantly consuming his own green chakra, without losing any of its unique qualities. Gengetsu knew this was senjutsu chakra. In today's ninja world, aside from Jiraiya who could barely manage it in a pinch, he was the only one who possessed the technique. For example, Yugo and the curse marks Orochimaru developed by studying his special physique were just crude applications of natural energy and hardly qualified as true senjutsu, looking at the rare senjutsu chakra temporarily contained by the magic extraction technique. Gengetsu first used medical ninjutsu to heal the residual damage the foreign chakra had caused. The instant the last ruptured blood vessel was repaired, thump. Thump. His heart beat powerfully, like a brand new engine. Gengetsu could clearly feel the blood flowing freely throughout his body, nourishing his cells. His entire body was celebrating. His body had completely returned to its peak condition. Feeling the unhindered flow of power within him, Gengetsu smiled. He had successfully achieved his first small goal since his rebirth. He'd already mapped out how to complete his soul and achieve true perfection, but first things first, he needed to deal with the senjutsu chakra in his hands. Gengetsu retrieved a special chakra-preserving container from the research lab and placed the senjutsu chakra inside. He transformed into a scientist like Orochimaru, using the lab's high-tech instruments to scan, analyze, and experiment on the senju chakra. Beep, beep. Beep, the machines hummed and whirred, experiment reports printed out one after another. Just like the books say, senjutsu chakra is a perfect fusion of normal chakra, a mix of physical and spiritual energy, after absorbing natural energy. The three chakra types must be balanced, each accounting for 1/3. Too much natural energy, and the body is consumed. Too little, and sage mode can't be activated. Yep, the ratio of this senjutsu chakra checks out. But the real key is how to perfectly integrate normal chakra with natural energy. It seems to require a special arrangement. Simply dividing it into thirds isn't enough. Plus, the human body isn't a computer chip. You can't precisely calculate the amount of natural energy absorbed. Let's run multiple simulations. What a pain. No wonder so few people have truly mastered senjutsu in 1,000 years. The absorption of natural energy is also a major hurdle. It seems to favor creatures like toads, snakes, and slugs. The senjutsu of the three great sage lands requires humans to adapt to the senjutsu based on them. Humans are the main focus. There hasn't been senjutsu that is naturally suitable for humans. Okay, we need test subjects. I could dissect them myself. If we do it this way, maybe it's possible. In the days that followed, Gengetsu locked himself away and devoted himself to the fascinating field of senjutsu. He lost track of time. Even after 7 days, he barged in without warning, using information gleaned from Konoha ninjas to easily bypass the security and sneak back into the research lab to continue his great work. Everything was fine in the lab. Outside, the ninja world was in turmoil. Outside Konoha village, in a remote location, Tsunade, wearing the Hokage hat, turned to Koharu and Mito Monobu, the two Konoha advisors who had come to see her off. Konoha is in your capable hands while I'm away. Despite their many disagreements, Tsunade had to rely on these two experienced, respected elders to manage the village. As for the other Konoha advisor, if she had her way, Danzo would be locked away in that dark underground base forever. Don't worry, go dame. We'll keep a close watch on the village. Mito Monobu nodded. But he looked worriedly at Tsunade's companions. It was just Shizune, as always, by her side. Also looking like he was traveling far away was a very excited Naruto, hands behind his head, looking left and right. Is it wise to take Uzumaki Naruto with you? Mito Kato Yen frowned. As the Nine-Tails Jinchuriki, he was vital to the village, so he had to ask. Huh? Grandpa, do you know me? Naruto, unfamiliar with the two old men, tilted his head, confused. Mito Yen just pursed his lips and said nothing. Tsunade patted Naruto on the shoulder, speaking firmly, I will ensure Naruto's safety. Besides, the place we're going is perfect for Naruto. Tsunade thought, the 5 Kages summit. Ever since the 4th Raikage, first proposed it, it had been met with initial reluctance. But after Uchiha Sasuke defected and followed Hagoromo Gengetsu, a wavering Konoha finally decided to participate in the 5 Kages summit, as one of Konoha's 2 founding ninja clans, and with Sasuke being the sole surviving Uchiha, his defection opened a deep wound in Konoha, leading to extremely negative consequences. Even now, people throughout the ninja world were still debating how Konoha had treated the last Uchiha orphan, driving him to betray the village. Also, Sasuke's departure meant that Konoha had lost control of Uchiha Itachi, a potentially even more dangerous individual, and then, there was Yuyi Xuanyue suddenly appearing and taking Uchiha Sasuke away, and they had no idea what he was planning. Under mounting pressure, Konoha finally agreed to attend the 5 Kages summit, with Konoha, the top-ranked ninja village, agreeing, plus the weight of Cloud Village. Seeing this, Mist, Stone, and Sand villages had no choice but to agree as well, and so, after more than 50 years, the second 5 Kages summit was about to commence. Chapter 85 Betrayal. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The second 5 Kages summit was about to kick off, the main topic, dealing with Hagoromo Genzuki, a resurrected figure out of time and outside the established village system, to ensure the attending Kages' safety and secrecy. News of this summit was kept under tight wraps. Only a select few within each village, including top brass, knew the meeting was even happening, let alone the average ninja or civilian. That's why Tsunade, as Hokage, made a show of leaving on a long trip, with only her 2 advisors and elders seeing her off in a remote location. Seeing Tsunade's determination, Mito Monahan and Koharu, knowing they couldn't change her mind, kept quiet. After explaining things, Tsunade, Shizune, and Naruto headed out. As Konoha receded into the distance, Naruto scratched his head, looking at Tsunade, confused. Granny Tsunade, where are we even going? Naruto had no clue about their destination, probably not even knowing what a 5 Kages summit was. He'd been planning to train with the pervy sage, but Tsunade had snagged him first, leaving him puzzled. Somewhere that's gonna mean a lot to you, Naruto, Tsunade said, ruffling his hair with a knowing look. At the first 5 Kages summit, the guards who accompanied the Kage became the next generation's leaders. There was precedent. At this second 5 Kages summit, those serving as guards took on special significance in the eyes of those in the know. Tsunade bringing Naruto was a statement, an expression of her hopes for his future. Becoming Hokage wasn't just about shouting slogans. Naruto wasn't thinking about any of this. He'd understand it all later. Meanwhile, on the day of 5th Hokage Tsunade's departure, as agreed, 3rd Tsuchika Jinoki brought Yellow Earth and Black Earth, 5th Mizukage Terumi Mei took Ao and Chojuro, 4th Raikage Ai brought Nozomi and Darui. And although it was a last-minute scramble due to the summit, with no other good options available, the newly appointed 5th Kazekage Gaara, along with experienced advisors Chiyo and Makagami, set out as well, forming Suna's team. Just like the first summit, the 5 Kage were headed to the Iron Country, a neutral zone, to hold the second 5 Kages summit, just like their predecessors. Interestingly enough, Hagoromo Genzuki was a central figure in both gatherings. This time, though, the stakes were much higher with Hagoromo Genzuki. Back at Konoha Hospital, research into Senjutsu chakra analysis had started strong but was now slowing down as the problems became more complex. Hagoromo Genzuki, not one to sit still, decided to take a break. On his way out, he ran into Irika, a ninja academy teacher bringing in injured students for treatment. Thank you so much, Dr. Ayasuk, Irika said gratefully to the doctor who was always eager to help. Anytime. As Hagoromo Genzuki treated the students, he focused on the new notification in his mind. Ding. Main mission, Ninja Academy graduation. Task description, you aced your classes and beat out Sasuke and Sakura. Now, you face your graduation exam, the clone technique. Child's play. Show off in front of Irika. Looks like my academy career is coming to an end, he thought, forming a hand seal. With a poof, a clone appeared. "Dr. Sosuke, what are you doing?" Irika asked, confused. "Getting some bandages and setting bones," Hagoromo Genzuki replied, pointing to the student he was treating. "Oh," Irika said, finally understanding, tasking the long-dormant clone with retrieving the bandages. Hagoromo Genzuki checked his mind again. Ding. Main mission, Ninja Academy graduation, completed. With top scores in both academics and ninja skills, you've crushed the graduation exam. Congrats on officially becoming a Konoha genin. Keep it up, and aim for Chunin, Jounin, and even Hokage. Task reward, Shadow Clone Technique, Body Flicker Technique. Alright, just rest up, Hagoromo Genzuki said, taking the bandage from his clone and expertly wrapping the child's injury. Thank you, Dr. Sosuke, Irika said quickly. The injured kid looked up hopefully. Doctor, can I get a sick note? Not necessary. Just grab a walking stick, and you won't miss a thing, Hagoromo Genzuki replied, trying to sound reassuring. Trying to skip class, just go to school and enjoy your academy days, unlike me, who never went to class but suddenly graduated, If I hadn't shown up decades early, and instead arrived under the system's guidance, joined the 12 rookies, and followed its missions, my life would be completely different, he mused, watching Irika, with his great teacher-student bond, and the kid who was just looking for an excuse to skip class. Hagoromo Genzuki felt a pang of something, but he quickly shook it off. The past was set, the future was malleable. Rather than being born in a peaceful era and playing ninja games with kids, the life of Hagoromo Genzuki, a known figure throughout the ninja world, was more his style. Hagoromo Genzuki glanced towards Hokage Rock, a slight smile playing on his lips, and vanished, at the Konoha Memorial Stone, in front of the tomb of first Hokage Hashirama Senju. He'd said he would pay respects, and he meant it. Hagoromo Genzuki placed a bouquet of white chrysanthemums he'd bought from the mountain flower shop casually in front of the tomb. I was gonna burn incense for you, Hashirama, but considering you're stuck in the Reaper's stomach, I doubt it would reach you. No point in empty gestures. Separated by death, Hagoromo Genzuki addressed Senju Hashirama's grave. Oh, and I've checked on Konoha, the thing you cared about most. Not bad. Sure, a lot of people have died lately, but the population is still growing. Deaths are less than births, overall trending upward. Honestly, even though today's ninjas still commit atrocities and kill civilians, it's a lot better than our time. Everything is relative, and by those standards, the world today is, okay. Talking to himself was getting old. After a few more casual remarks, Hagoromo Genzuki grew bored and fell silent. Bragging to the dead felt pointless. After a while, he heard footsteps behind him but didn't seem surprised. The person walked up with a heavy stride. Like many villagers who revered the first Hokage, the person bowed and placed an identical bouquet of white chrysanthemums among the pile of flowers in front of Senju Hashirama's tomb. Then, he rose, silent, still gazing at the tombstone. Hagoromo Genzuki didn't turn around. He simply asked, "You've been lurking near me 4 times, hesitant to approach. This is the 5th. What brings you here?" "So, Yuyi Qingting, did you betray the Yuyi clan? Did you betray me?" Chapter 86. Sorry, Patriarch, First Order. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The cold wind howled, whipping up fallen leaves. The already chilly air around the memorial felt even colder. Yuro Gengetsu calmly turned his head after speaking. Beside him stood a man in a gray-blue ninja uniform, white-gray bandages wrapped around his eyes, ears, neck, and the top of his head. His expression conflicted. This was Yuro Dragonfly, also known as Feiju Dragonfly, a Konoha Chunin and a member of the intelligence analysis team, who had once served as a proctor for the Chunin exams. His current superior was Yamanaka Inoichi. While his resume might not be as flashy as a Jonin's, being in the critical position of intelligence analysis, with immediate access to information from both inside and outside the village, meant he was undoubtedly deeply trusted by the Hokage. Feiju Dragonfly also held the most crucial role among the Yuro clan's secret agents within Konoha. The news of Yuro Gengetsu's arrival had been relayed to them in advance. Ru Tsangjia had surrendered his Identity without hesitation, even if it meant he could never return to Konoha, but Feiju Dragonfly was different. He hadn't contacted him during this time, or rather, he'd come close, but backed away. Yuro Gengetsu had already guessed what this meant, and asked calmly, "Where's the fifth Hokage?" Feiju Dragonfly remained silent, as expected. Finally, he sighed, "I'm sorry, clan leader." "The reason," Yuro Gengetsu said, his gaze fixed on Hashirama Senju's tombstone. Guilt, panic, longing, and resignation flickered across Feiju Dragonfly's face. After a moment of reflection, he spoke slowly, his voice strained, "My grandfather, my father, my mother, and my wife all died fighting for Konoha." "Don't you hate Konoha?" Yuro Gengetsu asked, still looking at the solemn photo of Hashirama Senju. "Hate? Of course, I've hated it," Feiju Dragonfly said, his eyes filled with turmoil. "But if I keep hating like this, wouldn't their sacrifices be meaningless? Wouldn't that be ridiculous? I'm sorry, clan leader. We may be descendants of the Yuro clan, but we've lived in Konoha for decades and become completely integrated without even realizing it. At least, those dead relatives willingly fought for Konoha. They weren't forced." Hearing this, Yuro Gengetsu held out his palm and caught a falling leaf. He traced its unique pattern with his finger and said softly, "So, a successor to the Will of Fire?" "Yes." Feiju Dragonfly replied firmly. Yuro Gengetsu understood. He'd anticipated this since taking over the Yuro clan in Suachin village and realizing the situation. Splitting up and dispersing was a good way to ensure a clan's survival, but it also led to division. No matter how much you emphasized your origins, members raised in different places, cultures, and educational systems would inevitably develop different characteristics. As time passed, the signs of complete separation would only become more obvious unless a powerful, respected figure stepped forward to reunite them. Yuro Gengetsu was now trying to play that role, but some things were hard to change, like Feiju Dragonfly's lineage. Yuro Gengetsu understood his choice. He wasn't angry and tossed the leaf aside, reminding him, "Now that you've made your decision, the worst thing you can do is waver. You should be bringing the Konoha army here, not coming alone." Feiju Dragonfly shook his head, a wry smile on his face. "Even though I'm part of Konoha now, I still have Yuro blood in me. I can't do anything to harm the clan leader." Yuro Gengetsu shook his head. "That decision will only bring you misfortune." "I understand," Feiju Dragonfly replied, his expression resolute. He took a deep breath and said to Yuro Gengetsu, "As an intelligence officer of the Yuro clan in Konoha, I know my betrayal will have serious consequences for the clan. So, clan leader, I'll end it all with my death. I only ask one thing of you. Speak. My son. He's never left Konoha, and he doesn't know he's a descendant of the Yuro clan. I just hope he can live in Konoha without any burden and not carry the heavy name of Yuro like I have." Yuro Gengetsu was silent for a moment, then nodded. "I understand." He turned and looked at Feiju Dragonfly intently. "I'm sorry. In many ways, I'm the reason everyone is separated. Without the clan leader, the Yuro clan would be in an even worse state." Feiju Dragonfly, who knew the clan's history, said sincerely and bowed deeply to Yuro Gengetsu before turning to leave. He needed time to say goodbye to his son. Yuro Gengetsu didn't stop him. After an intelligence agent within a village betrayed them, even if they promised secrecy, they would be silenced. That was the way of survival for a clan or any powerful organization. Yuro Gengetsu understood this principle well. He glanced one last time at Hashirama Senju's grave and, with nothing more to say, turned and left. He arrived at the bustling street. Yuro Gengetsu casually helped a little girl, 3 or 4 years old, who'd been playing with her friends and almost bumped into him. The little girl thanked him politely. "Thank you, mister. Call me brother." Yuro Gengetsu touched the little girl's hair bun, then noticed someone he knew and gestured for the little girl to go play before walking over. "I saw Hagoromo Gengetsu with my own eyes. He's scary. I'm worried something might happen to Sasuke when he goes to his place." "Don't worry, Sakura. Sasuke may have left the village without looking back, which makes me angry. But he's not stupid, and he must have his reasons. Besides, even though Hagoromo Gengetsu has a bad reputation right now, he's actually a good person in some ways. A good person? Hagoromo Gengetsu. Ino, are you out of your mind? Let me check your forehead. Check your own forehead, Sakura. I'm telling the truth. There's a record of Hagoromo Gengetsu's life in my family. As Hagoromo Gengetsu approached, he overheard Sakura and Ino talking about him. He raised his eyebrows, interrupted, and asked curiously, Sakura, Ino, I heard you talking about Hagoromo Gengetsu. I'm curious about him too. What kind of person do you think Hagoromo Gengetsu is? Chapter 87 What kind of person is Yuyi Xuanyue? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Dr. Sosuke. Ino whipped around, her eyes lighting up. Hey, Dr. Sosuke. She exclaimed, surprised. Sakura, though not as bubbly, still greeted the doctor who taught her. Sorry to butt in, Hagoromo Xuanyue said, looking sincere. But I overheard you talking about Hagoromo Gengetsu, and I'm curious to hear more. He was interested in hearing regular folks' opinions, not just the big shots who acted like they knew everything. He wanted a genuine take on who he was. Sakura, not knowing why Dr. Sosuke was so into Hagoromo Gengetsu, stuck to her guns. Hagoromo Gengetsu has gotta be a bad dude, like Orochimaru. Why else would the Hokage and everyone be so freaked out by him? Ino, forgetting the handsome doctor for a moment, immediately shot back, they're scared, 'cause he's strong, not necessarily evil. You gotta judge a person by their actions, not just their rep. Forcing people to give up their secret techniques. Kidnapping Sasuke. Sakura retorted, icy. Ino's face fell, then she waved her hands. That's different. And a few things don't tell the whole story. Before Sakura could argue, Ino, as if about to reveal a huge secret, said, you won't believe this. Ever since Hagoromo Gengetsu popped up, I've been digging through our clan's library. I found a record our ancestors kept about his life. You know, the Yamanaka clan's been around since the Warring States period. As intelligence experts, we know all the ninja world secrets. Everyone knows the Yamanaka clan's reputation, Hagoromo Xuanyue said with a nod. While not quite as powerful as the top Warring States period clans, the Inoshikacho trio, along with their Sarutobi allies, were a serious force back then. Sakura, coming from an ordinary family, could only feel envious. So, Ino said, snapping her fingers dramatically, according to our ancestors, the real Hagoromo Gengetsu was nothing like what we thought. Sakura, remember those night novels and comics we used to read? Hey, this is a world where people can rap and speak English, so anything is possible. Sakura glanced at Asuke, embarrassed, and quickly waved her hands. We're ninjas now. Why bring up stuff from when we were kids? Just thinking about those novels and comics, where she'd fantasize about a handsome knight on a white horse kneeling before her, confessing his love, made her cringe. She and Ino even had arguments about who got to be with the male lead. Sakura wanted to disappear right then and there, but what Ino said next wiped the embarrassment right off her face. Actually, Hagoromo Gengetsu's actions during the Warring States period were a lot like those knights and heroes in the stories. What? Sakura forgot all about her childhood mortification. Hagoromo Gengetsu? A knight? A hero? She exclaimed in disbelief. It didn't compute, the same Hagoromo Gengetsu who scared her to death with just a look. The one Naruto, Kakashi-sensei, and the Hokage were so afraid of. The one who was scheming to live a second life, shaking up the entire ninja world. The one everyone was constantly worried about. That guy was a knight and hero. Hagoromo Xuanyue raised an eyebrow himself, then, along with Sakura, he listened to Ino's story. In Fire Country Year 132, in Floating Village, a ninja was terrorizing everyone. He killed 23 villagers, kidnapped 14 women, and tortured 10 of them to death. Nobody dared to stand up to him. Hagoromo Xuanyue happened to pass by and killed him in a rage. Long-lost memories resurfaced as Ino spoke. He remembered being 14, leaving the Hagoromo clan full of excitement, ready to explore the ninja world. He passed through a village called Fuyu. Even though there was a wedding going on, the atmosphere was heavy. He learned that the village's only ninja was marrying a bride, and that he'd already killed 10 young girls. Hagoromo Gengetsu charged in and took him out without thinking twice. The ninja wasn't that strong, anyway. It was no big deal for him, but it was unforgettable for the villagers. The story spread. Somehow the Yamanaka clan heard about it and wrote it down. In Fire Country year 133, in Byeoyang town, a crazed Kages clan corpse ninja went berserk and massacred 3,125 people. Hagoromo Gengetsu ran into him, fought him for a long time, and finally killed him, but not without taking a serious beating. Hagoromo Gengetsu remembered that Kages ninja. He'd been consumed by bloodlust, and his corpse bones were ridiculously strong. Those guys were always a pain to deal with. Back then, he was still young, and it took everything he had, nearly costing him his life. Was it wise to provoke such a dangerous enemy? So many people had died. A little girl, trembling and crying in pain, had reached out to him, but collapsed before she could reach him, never to get up again. How could he stand by and do nothing? In Fire Country year 135, there was a terrible famine. The lord of Ishikawa Castle refused to open the granary, and people were eating each other just to survive. Hagoromo Xuanyue was furious. He killed the lord, opened the granary, and saved countless lives. That year, Hagoromo Xuanyue understood the grim reality of the history book's simple phrase: there was a terrible famine, and people ate each other. What made him even angrier was that the lord of Ishikawa Castle was living it up, throwing scraps to his pampered dogs. Hagoromo Xuanyue wasted no time. He threw the kind-hearted lord to the dogs and then, just like the book said, he opened the granary. Of course, he also made some powerful enemies. In Fire Country year 136, he killed 3 ninjas who were practicing evil magic using human organs. In Fire Country year 137, he killed 12 nobles who were hunting humans for sport. In Fire Country year 138. As Ino recounted Hagoromo Gengetsu's life, one story at a time, Sakura went from disbelief to shock, then to silence, her expression a complicated mix of emotions. Hagoromo Gengetsu himself remained silent for a long time. Chapter 88. The Peace is Broken. You are listening at novelfull.audio. It was clear Ino had actually read that book about Hagoromo Genzuki. Hagoromo Genue had forgotten a lot, but now she could recall it all perfectly. Without realizing it, the mountain clan's current heiress had developed a crush on Hagoromo Genzuki, just like the ancestor who wrote the book. After all, unless he was completely absorbed in Yuyi Xuanyue, how could that ancestor have written a book detailing so many key moments in Yuyi Xuanyue's life, and with such glowing praise? Hagoromo Xuanyue had no idea he had such an admirer from the mountain clan. Honestly, he thought the author laid it on a little thick. Hagoromo Gengetsu knew he wasn't the genuine hero or sage the book described. He admired those truly brave people who risked everything and were determined to change the world for their ideals, even when they were powerless. To him, his actions were more like flexing his power and killing anyone who got in his way. Any grudges he settled were just a result of his superior strength, not the product of some profound journey. Honestly, Hagoromo Genzuki's philosophy was simple, not as complicated as the 5 great ninja villages believed. Coming from a world without demons, he genuinely experienced chakra flowing through him for the first time, enabling him to do things ordinary people couldn't. That solidified his philosophy. To keep moving forward and see what chakra led to. Maybe there was a door there, a door to something greater. Hagoromo Genzuki would love to find that door, push it open, and see what was on the other side. Of course, life's about the journey, not just the destination. It was okay to stop, enjoy the sights, and change what he could along the way. It was a pure, simple goal, but people always overcomplicated it. Conspiracy theorists always look for conspiracies, as if everyone else is just as scheming as they are. Hagoromo Xuanyue shook his head and snapped back to reality. Ino, chin up, asked Sakura. So? Sakura still think Hagoromo Genzuki is some Orochimaru-level supervillain? I don't know. Sakura felt like her whole world had been shaken. At 12 years old, her experience was limited. She saw things as black and white. Someone like Hagoromo Genzuki, who put so much pressure on Konoha and the ninja world, should be a villain, but after hearing Ino's story about Hagoromo Genzuki's life, she wasn't so sure anymore. So, what was Hagoromo Genzuki? Sakura felt like two opposing voices were battling in her head. Hagoromo Gengetsu spoke up, the real world isn't always about good and evil. Conflicts of interest and ideas happen. Even great heroes and sages can fight to the death. Sakura didn't fully understand, but she did grasp something. At least, you don't have to worry so much about what might happen to Sasuke at Hagoromo Genzuki's place. Sakura's eyes lit up. I admire you, Sakura. Even now, you're still thinking about Sasuke. Ino just rolled her eyes and turned to Dr. Sosuke. Dr. Sosuke, you've heard the story. What do you think of Hagoromo Genzuki now? Me? Hagoromo Genzuki stroked his chin and smiled faintly, a dangerous, unstable person who threatens the structure and peace of the ninja world. Ino. For the first time, she thought Dr. Sosuke, who she usually saw as handsome, was just annoying. He said goodbye to Ino, who was getting worked up, and Sakura, who was obsessing over Sasuke. It was getting late, and Hagoromo Xuanyue was about to head back. Suddenly, he stopped, sensing a familiar surge of mystical energy, and turned, focusing his gaze into the distance. There are always self-righteous people who think the world should bend to their will. They don't realize the world is the world. And they are just ants. Yuyi Xuanyue narrowed her eyes and muttered to herself. You've broken the peace again. Meanwhile, after leaving the Konoha Memorial Stone, having decided to end his entanglement with the village, Takefly Chunin used his last moments to buy his son's favorite foods and an expensive toy his son had wanted, hoping to give him one last good night. Loaded down with bags, he walked home. He could see the lights on. His good son had already cleaned the house and was probably sitting on the sofa, patiently waiting for him. Smiling, Takefly reached the door and was about to get his key. Whoosh. Whoosh, star, almost silent sounds cut through the air. Takefly's expression changed. Before he could react, ninjas in black robes and colorful masks surrounded him. The leader said coldly, Takefly Chunin, we need your cooperation. Come with us to Root. Takefly clenched his fists. Root? I report directly to the Hokage and I'm part of the intelligence analysis team. You have no right. The Root ninja interrupted him. These are Lord Danzo's orders. Takefly tried to protest, but the Root ninja moved, subduing him instantly. Takefly could only stare at his front door before being knocked unconscious. The group vanished. All that remained were the groceries and toy, scattered on the ground, forgotten. The doors slowly opened. Takefly's son poked his head out, confused by the bags on the ground. Dad? Takefly couldn't answer. He woke up in a dark, secret room. In front of him, the man known as Ninja Darkness sat on a cold chair, hands on his cane, staring down at Takefly. He asked coldly. Answer my questions. What is Sosuke's true identity? Chapter 89 Roots, Self-Immolation. You are listening at novelfull.audio. In the dark, secret room, Danzo Shimura gripped his cane, his unbandaged left eye fixed on Totake Dragonfly with a chilling stare. Who is Sosuke, really? He demanded. Totake Dragonfly, freshly awakened, trembled as if facing a predator. Recognizing his interrogator, he took a deep breath, struggling to regain composure. I don't know what you're talking about. I want to see the Hokage. Any interrogation should be handled by the proper authorities. Root has the authority to detain and question any ninja who poses a threat to Konoha, a masked Root operative stated, his voice flat. He approached Totake Dragonfly. We've been watching you. For 20 years, you've had no contact with Sosuke. But recently, you've visited Konoha Hospital several times, secretly observing him, and you met him at the memorial an hour ago. What's your agenda? Who is Sosuke? This was Konoha. Root was perfectly capable of tracking everything happening within the village. Initially, Sosuke, the rising star in the medical field, had been their primary target. Others saw his success as the culmination of hard work, but Root, dwelling in the shadows, always considered worst-case scenarios. Their initial investigation of Sosuke followed standard protocol. If he was clean, fine. If he had minor issues, They could be leveraged to recruit him into Root, contributing his skills to Konoha's strength. However, they stumbled upon Totake Dragonfly also watching Sosuke. Two individuals with no previous connection suddenly intertwined. Root knew what that implied, because Totake Dragonfly held a sensitive position in Konoha's intelligence division. Root prioritized investigating him. That led to the present situation. Totake Dragonfly, familiar with Root's methods, abandoned any hope of escape. "I don't know any, Sosuke," he said aloud, while inwardly channeling the Feathered Clan's secret mark. "I'm sorry, Clan Chief. I've dragged you into this. And, I'm sorry, Sun, Star. Wind," read his mind, Danzo ordered. Noticing the flicker of resolve beneath Totake Dragonfly's feigned panic, Danzo realized they'd caught a big one. Standard torture wouldn't work on this guy. They'd skip straight to forceful mind extraction. Danzo tapped his cane against the handrail, anticipating what he would unearth, a spy from the other major villages. Or a sleeper agent for Orochimaru. "Humph, no one moves in Konoha without my say-so, Star." He glared. Yamanaka Wind, standing beside Totake Dragonfly, removed his mask and reached out, preparing to use the Yamanaka clan's mind-probing technique. Suddenly, Totake Dragonfly looked up, his gaze seeming to pierce the walls to his distant home. A smile touched his lips. Then, boom, Star. Totake Dragonfly activated the Hammeran sickle mark unique to the Feathered Clan. Instantly, blazing red chakra-fueled flames engulfed him. Chief, run. Star, darkness consumed him. In a heartbeat, Totake Dragonfly vanished, leaving not even his clothes behind. "Humph." Danzo slammed his cane and snorted. Chakra self-immolation, like Umbu's suicide protocols. A big fish indeed. Arrest Sosuke immediately. Also, bring in anyone with close ties to Totake Dragonfly. Take them to Root. "Yes, sir." Yamanaka Wind and the other Root operatives knelt before vanishing. Danzo, alone, waited to see what he'd gained, but it wasn't long. Boom, Star. A violent explosion shook the ceiling. Danzo scowled. "What's happening?" The Hammeran sickle mark was originally created by Yuyi Xuanyue for clan intelligence officers. It was a last resort to avoid torture and protect information. It also served as a warning system. When fully activated, individuals with the same mark within 3 miles would know. This was to prevent the entire network from being compromised by a single agent. Later, when the clan fractured, the elders made it a universal mark, a permanent reminder of identity, passed down through generations. Like Samui, Totake Dragonfly bore the feather mark. Now, with its activation signaling his death, Yuyi Xuanyue, its creator and a recipient of its signal, paused and looked west toward the remote forest. That wasn't a residential area. The separation was recent. Even if Totake Dragonfly was planning suicide, he wouldn't do it in a way that was obviously a spy's suicide, not with his son's future to consider. That left one explanation: something happened, forcing Totake Dragonfly to activate the mark to protect the secrets in his mind, and to tell Xuanyue to flee. Totake Dragonfly had remained hidden for over 20 years. This timing was suspicious. Leave. Ha. Yuyi Xuanyue shook his head. Totake Dragonfly was forced to commit suicide in a very short time. Such a ruthless and reckless approach could only come from one person in Konoha. At least he called me chief. Even an unfilial son has his limits. If you ignore the deaths of your people to protect your own reputation, what kind of chief are you? Yuyi Xuanyue fixed his gaze on the direction of Totake Dragonfly's final message, and his figure vanished. Rest easy. The chief will take care of everything. Chapter 90 Killing. Please give me a monthly ticket. Please subscribe. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Swoosh. 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 Dozens of Root ninjas, cloaked and masked in black, darted through the forest. When Konoha village was first founded, it was carved out of a dense, sprawling forest. Even after all these years, Konoha still had vast forests within its borders. That's why Konoha not only designated dozens of training grounds, but also established highly classified institutions and departments, hidden from the light of day, deep within the woods. Like the infamous Root base, right now, these Root ninjas were under Danzo's orders to capture Sosuke and anyone closely linked to Totake Tsubasa. his son, colleagues, mentors, you name it, but before they could split up to hunt down their targets separately, someone walked right into their path. It's Sosuke. 90% chance of resistance. Execute the capture plan immediately. Spotting their main target, the root ninjas wasted no time. Without a word, they sprang into action. Wind style. The lead root ninja was about to unleash his best wind style ninjutsu, suddenly. A gust of wind swirled. Before he could react, a hand clamped down on his neck. Too slow. Those were the last words the root ninja heard before a crack signaled the twisting of his neck. His body fell, and as his eyes closed, the last thing he saw was the figure who'd killed him moving like a lion among sheep, easily slaughtering his well-trained teammates. That's not Sosuke. But with that thought, riddled with doubt and fear, the root ninja breathed his last. He wasn't alone. Many of his comrades shared the same thought as they died. Before this mission, they had memorized everything about Sosuke. He was a medical ninja from Konoha Hospital, never a battlefield guy. Even his recent rise to fame was thanks to his medical expertise. He certainly didn't look like the cold-blooded killer in front of them. Initially, the root ninjas were confident they could take him down with ease, but now, witnessing Sosuke wipe out their teammates in seconds, they realized his strength was beyond anything they could handle. Though they weren't afraid to die, the remaining root ninjas cut their losses. They immediately turned tail and ran. Hot blood splattered across the sky, a few drops landing on a thick tree, a stark crimson against the bark. Tossing aside his ninja sword, Yuyi Xuanyue paid no mind to the root ninja slumped against a tree, hand clutching his bleeding neck as he slowly slid to the ground. Instead, he watched the fleeing figures, not rushing to kill them, but hanging back, following them at a leisurely pace. Yamanaka Phone was in the lead. Glancing back after their narrow escape, he calmly analyzed the situation. This guy, Sangjia, wants to use us as a guide. His real target is the root base. A teammate responded coldly, we can't give him what he wants. Understood. Yamanaka Phone nodded. I'll try to hold him off. No matter what happens, the rest of you split up and run in the opposite direction. Backup will arrive soon. After this quick plan, one root ninja sacrificed himself with a ninjutsu to obscure Sangjia's vision. Taking advantage of the distraction, Yamanaka Phone swiftly set up a trap. After entrusting his body to a teammate for safekeeping, the remaining ninjas quietly changed direction, moving away from the root base. Meanwhile, after dealing with the distraction, Yuyi Xuanyue narrowed his eyes, looking towards the direction the others had fled. So, you caught on to my plan and changed course. But even though Ali had copied a ton of Konoha intel from Yamanaka and Noichi, it didn't include the location of the root base. Root was Konoha's deepest, darkest secret, never to be exposed. Even someone like Yamanaka and Noichi wouldn't dare ask too much about it, except the top leaders of Konoha. Of course, even if he could, Yamanaka and Noichi's cautious nature wouldn't let him snoop around root. Guess I'll have to find out myself. Regretting his earlier speed, Yuyi Xuanyue picked up the pace, no longer interested in playing cat and mouse. Boom. As he passed a tree, a hidden explosive tag detonated. Yuyi Xuanyue emerged from the smoke, unfazed, and continued forward, his expression unchanged. Whoosh. 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 Kunai flew from all directions. Yuyi Xuanyue, not wanting to get shredded just yet, easily deflected the blades. He casually tossed a kunai of his own, impaling the final attacker, hidden behind a tree, without even looking. Got him. Nailed to the tree was a cursed puppet that Yamanaka Phone had left behind on purpose. At that moment, his soul was inside the puppet, and he was actually thrilled. Mind-switching puppet curse seal technique. A secret technique of the Yamanaka clan, an attack through a cursed puppet. As long as the puppet is hit by the enemy, the technique will be activated, the enemy's soul will be sealed within the puppet, and the caster's soul will enter the enemy's body. Yamanaka Phone was about to control Yuyi Xuanyue's body and force him to commit suicide, even if it meant his own body would suffer the same fate, but the next second, his face froze. My technique, it failed. He realized his soul was still trapped in the puppet, and Sangjia calmly turned to him, a faint smile on his face. I've experienced the cycle of life and death, and my soul has journeyed from the underworld to the human world. tempered countless times. You can't possibly pull it out. If the guy was using kaleidoscope Sharingan to confuse me, my incomplete soul might have gotten caught, but, as Yuyi Xuanyue thought, the other guy was thinking too much if he wanted to pull his soul out of his body. Reincarnation of life and death. From the underworld. You're Yuyi Xuanyue. Hearing Sangjie's words, Yamanaka Fong paused, his pupils shrinking in shock. If this was really who he thought, then Root and Danzo-sama were in serious danger. You. Yamanaka Fong tried to speak, but he couldn't. As the puppet crumbled, so did his soul. If this ultra-powerful soul-switching technique failed, the backlash would be catastrophic. Yuyi Xuanyue didn't even need to lift a finger. Yamanaka Fong had charged headfirst into a mountain. He was dead, no coming back. Yuyi Xuanyue glanced at the remains and resumed his pursuit of the escaping fish.